You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast
delivering player experience news.
Let's go! We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Some shit like that. And welcome to Podcast PXN episode 239. Almost 10 away from 250. Can you believe it? I've got to look at flights. And I am one of your hosts, video essayist and video producer at DualShockers from Portland, Oregon, Christian Macias. I'm joined over Discord. Kentucky's #1 Spartan and PXN founder, Daniel Prindle, a.k.a. Dan is DTM.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
Here, hold on. I got something for you.
Wow, come on. The shade.
Also joining us over Discord, the Nintendo aficionado, artist extraordinaire, and emulator enthusiast, Roshan Warner at Roto.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Engage.
no one dared to make a slip, for the stranger there among them had a big iron on his hip.
Big iron on his hip. Oh,
The big iron on his hip.
dude. We can keep going.
Why don't you touch my pip, boy?
Nice.
We got one. Thank you to everyone watching us live, Glenn, and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every single Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, unless nuclear fallout happens. Am I right? Just search Podcast PXN simultaneously as well on twitch.tv/podcastpxn. Topic of the show this week is Fallout. Not the game, but also sort of the game. But more specifically, the Amazon Prime TV show, reviewing episodes 1 and 2. But first, the show always starts with a quick bite, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Oh, what's this? More Fallout? Yes. Got a Fallout quick bite. Fallout 4 current gen upgrade has finally been announced that it's coming this month. In addition to that, however, Fallout London, the giant mod that was supposed to be released pretty soon as well for Fallout 4, is now delayed indefinitely, as obviously the current gen upgrade is going to mess with a lot of things behind the scenes that Fallout London has to postpone their release.
I mean, sad for the people that have been waiting for this, because this is a massive mod, like you were saying. So I may have to dive into this, because I did pick up the PC collection when this comes out, but it is sad that it's delayed.
Yeah, a lot of people are really looking forward to this. Me being one of them as well.
But also good, because the Fallout 4 PC version is very feature missing a lot of features for modern games, because I was actually helping my friend last night, because he was trying to stream Fallout 4 on PC, and it's fucking awful. There's no window, or there's no borderless option. There's not really any graphic settings. It's very feature incomplete. So hopefully this update takes care of that.
You know, I have to air a grievance real quick. I hate playing games on GOG Galaxy. It's annoying.
You might be the only one doing that, though.
Playing games on GOG Galaxy?
Yeah, what?
Well, I mean, dude, so there's a lot of great deals on GOG pretty frequently, and I'm gonna jump on it, and then you go in and just fucks with everything. You can't do windowed borderless. I mean, you can, but I couldn't find a way to do it for some games. You had to go into settings, deep into settings to figure that out. And then if you try to alt tab out, it just bricks your PC for a couple of settings and moves windows into different monitors. All right, what are we doing? PC gaming though.
PC game. Check out Humble Bundle. All right, they give you Steam keys when you.
That's
buy
true.
stuff.
That's very true. Yeah, I've used them before.
Well, Keurig in the chat with some shade. He said, Christian, I play some games on GOG Galaxy. It's not that bad.
Oh, I like to hyperbolize. I like to exaggerate. We're podcasting, we're
Fun.
riffing.
It's fun.
Yeah, fuck GOG.
Everything sucks.
Jesus Christ.
Square Enix, moving on to the next quick bite. Square Enix wants to get part 3 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy developed with. There goes Daniel. Let's just watch him real quick. I know he thinks we're going to keep going. I'm not going to keep going. I want to see this man run back. I want to see them hogs on the camera.
Wondering if his chair's swiveling. Oh, I was hoping he'd do a nice full rotation. That was fine.
Close. So close.
Where did he go? Is Buck doing something?
Is that a heated blanket, do you think? Or is it just a regular
What is
blanket?
that?
Oh, here we go.
Good boy.
Oh, the Pit Boy. He just realized, like, holy shit, I gotta get a Pit Boy.
Hi.
Oh, sorry. Did you guys stop the show?
We did.
We did, yeah. We wanted to
Look at
see
you
what you were
struggling to
getting.
get that fucking behemoth on.
What do you mean? It was easy, seamless. There we go.
Easy.
All right, I'm ready now.
Yeah, put your iPhone into it, huh? Where's your iPhone?
It's right here, but it doesn't fit because it doesn't fit the max size.
Oh, right, yeah.
That Pip-Boy Collector's Edition was made when phones were regular size.
Yeah.
That was almost 10 years ago.
Yep.
Still cool.
It was very cool.
Epic. Keep that on.
I will. Yeah. The rest of the show.
God, that's fucking giant.
I'm
It is
watching you maneuver your arm around with that thing on.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Where was I? Oh, yeah. Square Enix wants to get part 3 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy developed within 3 years. The main story is already completed, and voiceover work is looking to be done fairly soon. So we might not be waiting too long to see the final concluding events of FF7. What is dump your load in me?
Oh gosh.
Why are you writing this?
What are you talking about? What are you seeing?
Glenn, you seen this? Just kidding. We got some terrible news, unfortunately. Take-Two plans to lay off 5% of its workforce and cancel several projects in development as part of cost-cutting measures. Daniel, do you want to reiterate what you said when you shared this on Twitter and what you said privately in our
Yes. Yeah. That there's a way they could have saved like $500 million by, not acquiring Gearbox a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Oh god.
Video game execs just spending money willy-nilly and then realizing, oh man, we gotta make the spreadsheets look nice. We gotta dump a bunch of our fine, hardworking folks and projects.
This one feels especially egregious because they're about to have the biggest number go up spreadsheet in the history of video games. Possibly ever, by the way. Possibly ever in the history of mankind. And they still feel the need to lay off 5%, which is like 500 jobs is a lot, but at the same time, it's like, why? I don't know. I don't know why they do this. This hurts my head when I try to think about it.
Yeah. An update on an upcoming game that launches tomorrow. No Rest for the Wicked is launching tomorrow in early access. By the way, I'm playing this for work, so I'll be there if you guys want to check it out for sure. The spec requirements are up now. I forgot to link them. You will require an SSD to play this game.
Require, as we've talked about before, require. You can probably still play it with a hard drive. It'll just run very poorly.
I remember I tried playing Starfield with a hard drive.
How did that go?
Unplayable. It wouldn't load anything.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Anyway. Perhaps the biggest piece of gaming news, just for me, Engage. Hades 2 technical test has been available to request on Steam as of yesterday. And then Supergiant live streamed themselves playing the game. That VOD is now available on YouTube. Game looks good. Lots of screenshots of redesigns of some of the gods up online for Hades 2. Can't wait. I've been refreshing my email every so often to see if I got in. So far, I have not.
Me too. I checked it just now as you said it. I want in there
You know
so
what?
bad. Please.
Yeah.
Please, Super Giant.
Gmail. Let's see.
Am I insane, or is Ro also a fan of Hades?
No, Ro's not a fan of Hades.
I hate Hades. It's the worst. No, I'm just joking. I do like it. You're right. I should have been included, right?
That's
man?
why I was like, wait a minute. When he said it's just for me and Gage, I'm like, wait a minute. I thought all three of you.
I don't play games anymore, so I understand. But I
if Ro got into this beta and Christian and I didn't, there would be hell.
No,
There would be hell to pay.
I mean, he's a
At least
bigger
one of
fan
us
at
be
that
playing.
point.
Yeah,
I
for real.
guess so fine. No, let's look on the positive side.
If anyone deserves it, it's Ro.
That's
I
true.
haven't seen any. Have you guys seen gameplay of it yet? Is it like
No.
drastically different from?
It's not. It's different in the way Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2 are different, where like they play differently, but it's the same game.
Okay.
Hopefully that comparison makes sense.
Yeah, that does. Yeah. But the art of the new god, or not the new gods, but the returning gods in new art. Some of them are new, I think, too. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
Super
that's new.
Giant.
Yeah.
There's some new ones too, but Super Giant just has like such an incredible art style across all their games, but Hades in particular, just so good, so good.
I agree. Bro,
You agree?
you're the biggest Hades fan.
Confirmed.
Let's run over some street meat. 3 carcass. What is plural of carcasses? I guess I just did it. Carcasses. 3 carcasses. Persona 1 and 2 remake / updated forms could be coming soon. This is according to this Japanese fellow who usually is often right about some of the Persona stuff. He said that remakes could be coming. He later clarified that they might just be updated forms, whatever form they may take. Yeah, be on the lookout. More Persona titles being remastered, remaked, updated. Okay. Second piece of street meat. Black Panther. Not the Amy Hennig Captain America Black Panther game, but EA's Black Panther game. Turns out that one might be open world, as a job ad is suggesting. And I gotta say right off the bat, it made me insanely way more enthusiastic about the Amy Hennig one.
Right.
I don't know if I want a Black Panther open world one.
Yeah, that also made me a little sad too, but I don't know. As long as they do it right and not Ubisoft it, I know it's EA, so I'm not sure how their history with open worlds is. What's a bad or good open world Ubisoft or EA game that you guys can think of? I can't really think of any off the top right now. But yeah, when I saw open world, it definitely like lowered my hype a little bit. But then I thought about Spider-Man. I was like, oh, maybe they can make the traversal really fun with Black Panther and make it good. But yeah, who knows?
There's a silver lining, Ro. Cliffhanger Games, despite this being their first game, we don't know, what the team has made as a collective yet. We can't judge them. The boss of Cliffhanger is led by Kevin Stevens, who was a boss of Monolith during development of Middle-earth Shadow War and Middle-earth Shadow War. One of those, Shadow Mordor and then Shadow War. Mordor is the one that was like very well received. People like that one, and they like, hey, the Nemesis system. We've yet to see anything as, didn't that get patented? Anyway, we haven't seen something like that come around in a while. Who's to say Black Panther can also make something unique? Could be cool. So we shall see.
Yeah.
This week, the PlayStation 5 Pro specs leak, and you might say, hey, didn't you already cover this? And we would have said yes, but we didn't know if that was confirmed or not. Seemingly, though, Sony then went in and copyright struck the video down. It's not available to watch anymore, which would lend credence to the fact that these specs actually might be confirmed. And then Tom Warren over at The Verge writes this, so that was interesting. Sony wants game devs to create an exclusive graphics mode for the PS5 Pro. It'll include 60 FPS, upscaling to 4K using PSSR, which is their patented equivalent of what do you want to call it, like FSR and DLSS, and ray tracing. The PS5 Pro will also have an Ultra Boost mode for games that don't get enhancements. They're interesting. I like this less. I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah. Digital Foundry did a pretty big breakdown on, again, these are all alleged specs, and this was a few weeks ago, but they did a breakdown, and pretty much the fact that the CPU remains mostly the same means that this is just kind of going to be a visual boost. There's not really going to be I don't think they're going to have a whole lot of room to do games that are only 60 frames are now going to be 120. Like, I don't know that it's going to be that. I think it's just going to be that games are going to run more or less the same as how they currently run. It's just you have the option to boost the resolution to 4K or whatever resolution you want to play at. So, yeah, the more we hear about this, the less interesting it is, and I'll be very curious to see how Sony decides to market this thing.
Probably in the exact same way they marketed the PS4 Pro, but I think it's going to be less successful because it's seemingly going to be more expensive than the PS4 Pro was.
Right.
I can't even remember what PS4 Pro marketing was, to be honest.
I mean, 4K was the big thing, right? Just being able to do
4K,
4K.
yeah, that was on the box, but
this is the problem: is that the PS5 can do 4K. So this is just going to be better 4K. Like, they're going to have to get into the minutia of like
4K Ultra.
of upscaling and versus like, and I don't know how you make that accessible to a wide audience. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
How do you sell this to the fucking,
Right.
mom who's looking to buy a console for their son for this Christmas?
Well,
this
you
has
see on the regular
PSSR.
on the regular PlayStation 4, it's a checkerbox solution, but on this one, we've gotten to native upscale. Like, okay, great.
Does it play Spider-Man? Sunny? Let's get into our news of the week. Video game adaptation news continues, and Daniel and Ro, I almost said Roy twice. And Ro rejoice. That's where I was getting that.
That's probably, yeah.
Daniel and Ro rejoice. Because, Keanu Reeves has been cast as Shadow the flippin' Hedgehog.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking I'm back. This definitely, I think I'm so excited, man. I love this casting. I think this is going to be super fun. I think this was like the second pick that fans were hoping for, but in a way that was like a joke. Like, we didn't think it would actually happen. Like the same with Kristen, what's his name again? The Star Wars guy. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that was like, it was like a meme. Like we want him to be Shadow, but we didn't think it would actually happen. And there were some rumors that made us believe it might happen. But Keanu Reeves is the next best thing, in my opinion. I think this is going to be super fun. I'm excited to see the other casting for Maria and all the other characters and stuff. But this is going to be a good time. At the very least, it'll be entertaining for me to just hear Keanu Reeves' voice come out of Shadow, even if the movie is not as good. But I've heard good things from the people that like Idris Elba. Of course, he's going to hype it up because he's in it. But he was like, this is going to be a movie for diehard Sonic fans, which I'm sure he would have said even if the movie sucked. But I'm excited. I'm excited.
Live and learn, Ro. Live and learn.
Yeah.
They're teaming up. Idris and Keanu again. Second time.
Cyberpunk and now this, yeah.
Yeah.
Facts, Daniel. Good observation. I forgot about that. That was this year. No, was it? When was Phantom Liberty? That was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. We're going to space. To a galaxy far, far away with our next news of the week item. Star Wars Outlaws locks a mission behind the premium editions of the game at launch. Ubisoft has responded, but first you should know that it is a Jabba the Hutt exclusive mission that you have to either you get with either the $109 gold edition of the game or the $129 ultimate edition of the game. These are American, not Canadian, by the way. So Canadian, way higher for sure. Ubisoft has responded to the backlash by saying, essentially just doubling down. Yep. To clarify, Jabba the Hutt and the Hutt Cartel are one of the main syndicates in Star Wars Outlaws and will be part of the experience for everyone who purchases the game, regardless of edition. This is according to a Ubisoft spokesperson. They go on. The Jabba's Gambit mission is an optional additional mission with the Hutt Cartel along Kay and Nyx's journey across the Outer Rim. This mission will be available to those who purchase the season pass or an edition of the game, which includes the season pass. Of course, my response is you're still creating something, like an experience that you have to pony up more money up front to get. Like, this should be available to everyone. And
Well-
granted, before in other games, they've made their missions available for free later on at some point. But at launch, that's scummy.
Well, and also I want to clarify real quick. That wasn't even a response. That was just them explaining what DLC is. They literally just said, "Hey, by the way, Jabba's a main character in the game. You'll get to experience him. But this mission, it's an extra mission that you get with the deluxe edition." Like, yeah, right. We're upset that you're doing it and that it's this expensive. So they didn't. I mean, they kind of responded, but they didn't even really respond to that, which is very par for the course for Ubisoft. They do double down, and they do. I mean, as much as I'm on this side of everybody that's upset with this, was never gonna get changed. Like, this is just kind of the way it is with Ubisoft. But the pricing is so egregious now. I'm surprised that they're this ballsy. What is it? $130 American?
American, yeah.
That's insane. We're getting close to 170 Canadian there.
The crazy part is this type of mission is what Ubisoft used to give as like a pre-order bonus,
Right.
and for any version of the game, and now it's gotten to this point. And like I just looked it up while you were talking. Like, not that long ago, fucking physical collector's editions that include like a statue and a whole bunch of DLC, like the season pass and a bunch of other like physical items. Like, I just looked up Watch Dogs, for instance. That came out at $150, and it included all kinds of shit
Right.
with it. And this is only $20 less. It's kind of insane. I laugh, but it's awful. But I also want to point out, originally before this stuff came out, which this is awful, by the way, people were like freaking out about Ubisoft calling this a season pass, which I was like, I mean, the developers have been calling their expansion passes season passes for forever. Like, back Borderlands, I think, was the first one that actually called it a season pass. So they were like, well, this isn't an ongoing game. It shouldn't be a season pass. Well, it's like developers have been calling it that for forever.
It's semantics, yeah.
Right.
It just means
Yeah.
like for a period of time in which we are going to release expansions is a season, yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's like a principle thing, though, of like, I don't know what this game is even going to shape out like. Why are you asking me to pony up more money before I even like believe in like, you know, From Software? That's the one I just pulled. It's the one that comes to mind most, recently. Elden Ring comes out, game goes away for a while, and like here, DLC's coming. You buy the DLC is like a one-time payment, and then after the fact, and then move on with your life. I don't know, but to pony up the upfront money, like that practice is always just like a bit weird to me.
It's because it almost to me it seems like when I see that, when they're talking about a season's pass already and they're saying, "Hey, buy it now, it's coming." To me, that makes me think, okay, this is stuff that you've cut off from the main game to splinter off, as opposed to an Elden Ring, like you said, where they release the main game. Here's an entire, table's worth of food that's gonna keep you satisfied forever. By the way, eventually we'll make some DLC. You can't pay for it now. We're not going to talk about it now. Like, to me, that gives me more trust with the developer that this is actually something that has to be built on after the fact, as opposed to them just cutting things off of the main experience to sell me later, which is what the vibe I get from Ubisoft.
And the weirdest part about this for me is that Star Wars Outlaws was kind of shaping up to be seemingly like maybe a little bit of a win for them. Like, they were promoting like they weren't having the Ubi-isms that they usually do. Like, they don't have the typical exploration of like go to tower, climb tower, unlock the map, and see what points of interest. Like, the way the game exploration works in this game, as we've learned last week, is that you have to go out and actually explore, and then you meet people of interest that then like your map starts getting bigger that way. Like, what? Okay, cool. Finally, they're moving away from traditional Ubisoft stuff. It could actually work in this, and then just to like come back to try and nickel and dime us for an extra mission that you can't get without paying over $100 is like, come on, you didn't need to do this.
And they also did I think they did the 3 days early, play 3 days early thing. As
Oh,
well.
I hate that. That's the
I
worst
hate-
for me.
it's so stupid. Yeah, nothing about this is cool because I agree with like Christian. They it seemed like things were going well for this one. It's just the timing of it. Like if they had done the season pass announcement after, it would seem like a completely different thing in our eyes, even though it is technically the same thing. Like if they announced the season pass after the game launched, like we would see it how Gage is seeing Elden Ring, wouldn't we? Like a little bit differently. We'll still be a little bit mad about it, I guess. But it's like, oh, this is DLC. We couldn't have done it earlier. But introducing it now at the price that it is now, I think angers fans a little bit more than adding it for a $20 down the line.
Right.
It just seems like, I don't know.
I mean, yeah. If I were on the marketing team, like waiting 2 weeks after release to be like, here's our map of content for the next,
It would
12,
feel like, oh, you guys are
12
supporting
months.
the game. He's like,
Yeah. Thank you for your support. Here's what we have planned for you, and maybe you can tease like the first expansion. And by the way, anyone who buys like the season pass for this now will unlock a special mission for like Jabba's thing, and I think the optics would change drastically, like you said.
Silly Ubisoft.
Anyway, let's move on. Final news of the week item. PlayStation is now on PC. What do I mean by this? Trophies will now, at least for Ghost of Tsushima, I'm sorry. Trophies will now be available. PlayStation trophies will be available on PC versions of Ghost of Tsushima. It's the first PlayStation game on PC that uses a new PlayStation overlay, which includes friends list, trophies, settings, and profile. Features available on Windows PCs and accessed via an in-game menu. And I'm sure this will be the first of many initiatives for PlayStation games coming to PC, where you now have trophies synced when you play them on PC, bridging the ecosystems together, much like Microsoft did with Xbox and PC a long time ago.
Hell yeah. Love more social features like this on PC and for Sony's games, of course.
Bet. All right, cool. Move on. Speaking of Star Wars Outlaws, guys, it's our fantasy draft check-in. And listen, hear me out. I picked up Star Wars Outlaws for $7.
Oh,
But this is before the season pass debacle. And before I kind of was like, huh, is this game gonna hit?
I don't
No
mean
It's still be a good
way.
game. It's still be a good game.
I think it still might be a good game.
I don't mean to be stupid, but why did you put $7? Were you expecting somebody to outbid you on that? Yeah.
I was like,
That's all yours, champ.
Yeah.
What is it? This is the team that worked on the Division 2, and I think Avatar as well. Probably different.
Avatar just
Hold on,
came
hold on,
out.
hold
I
on.
don't
Sorry,
think.
yeah. Different team. But I think this specific team worked on Division and Division 2. Metacritic for those, pretty good. This is a numbers game. There's not a lot of titles that are going to get me a lot of like 90s or high 80s anymore. I need like, yeah, do it, bitch. Do it right now. Do it right now. You'll lose like 12 points, I bet. I think this is going to hit in the low 80s.
I could see it. I mean, we really still haven't seen a whole lot from this game, so you could be right. It could be a really great game.
It's also the next Game Informer like cover. I got faith in this one. I think if it's ballsy enough to be on the Game Informer cover, it's gonna preview well. I got time to drop it if I need to.
That's fair. I feel like the Game Informer cover thing no longer has the same gravitas that it once had.
I was gonna say I don't know if it's a exclusive club anymore. I think it's just
Whoever's paying.
whoever's
Right.
paying.
You'll fucking see.
Let's wait, goddammit.
We got 2 games coming out next week for Row. Another Crab's Treasure and Stellar Blade. Bang Bangs. Stellar Blade reviews will be coming pretty soon because people are talking about like, hey, thank you to PlayStation for a code. We're playing it now. More thoughts later, blah, blah, blah. Those thoughts will be dropping very soon.
I'm so curious.
Oh,
Can't
shit.
wait to see what people think about that. Oh, they're coming.
Yeah, I mentioned Stiller Blade and the horny police come jumping, huh? Is that it? League history? That's it?
That's it.
Looks like
That's it. All right. Well, fuck me then. All right. Daniel, what you got for me?
What do I have for you? I have, this time I didn't forget, content warning. Of course, we jumped in with one of Christian's friends, Garrett, and it was a lot of fun. It was very fun. Like the main mechanic of kind of going in to see these monsters and one person gets to hold the camera and, you know, the camera is moving along like with real life, like physics and stuff, like making you fling around and stuff. I love that. That's really cool. The fact that you bring the footage back and you only have a limited amount of footage, which makes a lot of sense with how they present it to you. You bring it back and convert it to a disc, and then you play it in the TV, and everyone gathers around and watches it. That's a really cool idea. A very, very fun idea, and of course, we were up to some crazy shenanigans doing that. So it was a lot of fun.
Probably fuck.
Probably fun. Yeah. I think I
Yeah,
changed.
that soundboard was a real game changer for me. It turned into an iPad kid. That
Oh my
whole
god,
round.
you cannot be trusted with the soundboard ever.
I didn't know it was that loud for everyone.
It was very loud, yeah. I also have been playing. Drum roll, please. Fallout.
Oh, the game you're not. Yeah.
What?
The game that Gage is better than you at.
Fallout.
Yes.
Fallout?
Well, yes. That.
Fallout 76. Jump back into that with Gage. And did Glenn? Yeah, Glenn joined us as well. And yes, that game is actually, in my opinion, I think that game is significantly better than when it launched, because I played it. I was so excited to play that game as a huge Fallout fan when it came out. And I dove in, and I was pretty disappointed with what it was back then. And you know, after the hype of the show, and we'll talk about that later, of course, but I was like, man, I really have this Fallout itch, and I sent you guys a message. I was like, Fallout 76 ? Anybody? Like, and then Gage was like, all right, I'll do it for the meme. Like, all right, bet. And then we jumped in, and I think it's actually a decent game now. I don't think that it's, you know, on the par of the single player Fallout games by any sense of the word, but I dove back in there and started listening to all the classics music on the radio and just went to town. My brain was synced back to like Fallout days of fucking looting everything in sight. And Gage can tell you, he was like, Dan, teleport to us, or, you know, do something. I'm like, I'm fucking looting. I'm in the middle of looting this building. I have to loot every fucking nook and cranny in this building because that's literally what I do in Fallout. So yeah, but I had fun with it. I don't know if I'll keep playing more, but I don't know.
Gage should go next since you guys played similar stuff.
Yeah, I mean, content warning as well. Fun stuff. Very fun. Very, very memeable. Good time. Fallout 76 is definitely a game. It is one of the games of all time. Here's the thing. Like, I feel like I agree with half your statement in terms of like getting into Fallout 76. Yes, it was, the vibes were there immediately, and yeah, the music's great, and the art style. Like, the art style is good, but I feel like the game, for me personally, has not aged very well at all. I think it was rough when it came out, and the game, the core systems might work better, but I don't know. The gameplay, the shooting mechanics, it's all very, very, very clunky. Especially after something like Starfield, which I'm not huge on, but Starfield I think made quite a big leap forward in terms of how it feels to move around. So going back to Fallout 76 was something I did for the lads. I did it for the boys, and I'm happy I did it. I had fun playing it, but this is kind of, I'm trying to remember what game it was that some of us played where we're like, it's kind of like a Pal World thing, where it's like, am I having fun because of the core gameplay loop, or am I having fun because Dan and I are trudging through this wasteland, bickering, and, you know, coming across these crazy stories? I don't know. It's tough. I think I had more fun just because I was playing with the boys. So Fallout 76, one of the games of all time.
Tell you this much. A lot of my TikTok feed was a lot of Vault-Tec lore.
So good.
The tragic story of Vault 11. This has nothing compared to Vault 68, etc., etc.
If you were to actually sit through and listen to some of them are pretty cool.
I did.
Like
I did.
the world lore, like we always talk about, right? But that's what Bethesda does best.
Here's the story about the vault that was made under the school in Massachusetts.
You hear the one about the world's greatest musicians, and then they all get put into a vault, and then the vault constantly plays white noise.
Why would they do? Why?
Because
You
because
watch
it's
the
fuck
show.
shit.
Watch the
Yeah.
show, Christian, and you
Fuck
would
shit
know.
happens.
You would know
Alright.
why. You would know why.
I got questions. Roshan, though, question for you. What you got for me?
Well, you guys saw
Delta.
I've been playing games on my phone, but I've been playing good games on my phone. I've been playing Sonic Advance, a little bit of Naruto Ninja Council
Oh,
2, and I think I downloaded a Pokemon game, but I haven't started at Leaf Green. And yeah, that's kind of it. I've been
dude, I could play Animal Crossing DS on that bad boy.
Oh yeah, I was thinking, but there's a lot of DS games that I missed out when I was younger that I would love to try now. Gage has Pokemon Sapphire. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna playing some Animal Crossing sounds really chill right now. That's a good idea. Playing some City Folk. But the other thing that I've been playing that I won't talk about too much is some visual novels for a video that I'm doing, and yeah, that's it. Pretty much it.
They're not Doki Doki, are they?
Unfortunately, they are not. They're not, sadly. I wish they were.
Nice. Well, what have I been playing? What have I done? Guys, help me out here. What have I played this week?
Content warning.
You played Content Warning? Did you?
Here's the thing about Content Warning for me. I think it's fun. I think it needs some updating. I don't think it's quite at the level of like get back in immediately, like the way Lethal Company was, where like I felt like an itch to go back and explore it. I think it has something to do with the way that world is procedurally generated. Like, yes, it looks similar, but every time I go in, it's something different. Granted, the mechanics of the systems of Content Warning are different in that, like, when you go back in, you can pick up the camera again. But I think it's like how it's populated isn't different enough between like the iterations of what we play in. Like the same entrance and like having the same kind of rooms be in all our playthroughs can start to wane a little bit. I think the inclusion of a bunch of different stuff can make it more interesting. And yeah, we tried the new, like once you make it past day 3, you get like the new area, and we fucking die pretty quickly. But yeah, I don't know. There's some kind of oomph that isn't quite there for me, even though when I play it, it is fun, but in like just short bursts. After that's like, all right, what else is there to play? Played up, you know? That one's got the sauce. Literally has the sauce.
Literally has the sauce. The problem with Content Warning is that there's not enough of a gameplay loop that doesn't revolve around you. Like by your third or fourth run, like the amount of fun you have in that game is highly dependent on the energy of the people playing, and like you've run out of jokes. You're not really sure what this like it's very, very dependent on the people playing it. Whereas you have Lethal Company.
Sure.
You get up to shenanigans outside of the core gameplay loop, which is get in there, find these valuable items, bring them back, upgrade your ship, do all this stuff. Whereas Content Warning is like, does anyone have anything funny to say? No? Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, be funny right now. Dan, be funny.
Exactly. Be funny on command right now.
I know what I wanted to say. I have 2 games I want to bring up. The first, Dragon's Dogma 2. I was talking to Gage privately about this, or maybe you guys were there. I decided I'm done with the game. For now, at least. 30 hours later, I've had my fill. And I think Gage described it perfectly when what his message to me was like, yeah, maybe the appeal really is the like gameplay loop of it because of like the narrative shortcomings. I'm having fun with the game, but I've kind of already had my fill of the combat and exploration of that world up until this point that I'm like, good for now. And I logged in the other day to do a quest, and I felt myself like halfway through being like, I don't want to do this quest. And it was like one of the main quests. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to just move on to other stuff, which is what I ended up doing. I still think it's a good game, but not enough there for me to continue on right now. What I did finally get into, and I'm so glad I did, finally got into Balatro. And bro, immediately took over my life. Way more than Hades did, way more than Vampire Survivors. I can't get enough. This is a game that I screen share to my girlfriend, and when I'm done, I'm like, all right, that's it. She goes, one more. She is like as invested as I am. It's fucking awesome. I'll probably like play another couple of hands later tonight. It rocks.
Card game?
Huh?
Is it a card game?
Poker roguelite.
Okay.
It's fucking awesome. I got my first hand that scored me over 100,000 chips, and I was like, I think I've peaked. But of course I haven't. That game is so good, dude. Fuck, it's so good. Do you remember, Gage, in Hades, when like your initial runs aren't going that well and you have to play more of the game to unlock just better stuff for you, like through permanent upgrades? It's the same thing here. Like every time I play a new like a poker run, I'm getting stronger and stronger. That like the gameplay loop is just like me playing better unlocks better stuff, and I just get better and better every time. It's really good shit. It's also just designed really well. Cool shit. Okay. Let's get into our topic of the show. Dan and Gage, I would imagine you guys are going to be running the show floor for the majority of the time, because I think you two are the biggest Fallout fans in this room. I actually want to start with Daniel, because I think you guys are both done with the series, but I think Daniel finished it first. Daniel, your thoughts on Fallout overall, and then we can get more into the minutia of like 1 and 2 granular stuff. No, you don't want to talk?
No, Gage finished it first. Technically.
I mean, you're wearing the shirt, so I looked at it. I just
no,
figured.
that's fair. That's fair. Sorry, what was the question? I just distracted myself.
What'd you think about Fallout, man? What'd you think about Fallout?
Yes.
Good? Bad?
So are we like overall, or just episodes 1 and 2?
Overall, just give me your general thoughts on Fallout.
Overall, in my opinion, Christian's going to be like fucking freaking out here in a second. In my opinion, the Fallout series perfectly epitomizes what we were talking about last week of us being in the golden age of video game adaptations, because this show was absolutely incredible. Like, it is literally, and I know this is recency bias and all of that, but this is my favorite video game adaptation that's ever come out. And, I know Fallout's one of my favorite IPs, and I, take that as you will. But I also think that the show has merits on its own without it being a video game adaptation. I think that the show itself is a very good show as well. Like, I don't think it's just, well, this is a good video game adaptation. I think this is a very good TV show as well. And I think that's evident in the creator, which actually cares about the medium, as he's talked about a million times before. Jonathan Nolan, he is a big Fallout fan and has played all of the Fallout games, which definitely shows itself on the screen when you see literally everything that you're seeing on the screen that is respecting and appreciating the medium that it came from. So yes, overall thoughts, very good show.
Are you doing NPC things right now?
Age, what do you think? Respond.
You
about the same?
I want to, yeah. I mean, I want to touch on what Dan said though, in that there's two ways to sort of look at it. How is it as a video game adaptation? I think it's a near perfect. Actually, I think it is a perfect adaptation. If we're scoring it on how is it as an adaptation, I think it's absolutely perfect. And then how is it as a TV show? Again, I agree with Dan. I think it's also very good. I think it's really, really great. And I think this comes together nicely because you have Amazon Prime's been doing some pretty good stuff lately. Obviously, one of the Expanse is one of my favorite shows of all time. They picked that up when it looked like nobody else would, and then it came back even stronger than it was before, which was awesome. And then then you got that combined with Jonathan Nolan, who, as we all know, co-wrote the Dark Knight movies, who wrote Interstellar, which is
Interstellar.
arguably one of the greatest movies ever of all time. So he's a talented writer, and he just happens to also love this source material. So that, I mean, I hate to say I told you so, gents, but I felt him. I felt it. All right, the balls are pointing north, and it seems like it's come to pass. And here we are. We're being guided to the promised land by good old Jonathan Nolan.
Before Ro goes, I was very clear I am in the minority, even in this room, but like in the response in with critics and with fans alike, like I am very. It was a show that I didn't vibe with, but I thought about this today. I wanted a more nuanced take. I didn't want to just come in here and just show my whole ass like I usually do. I thought about what we talked about privately for like very briefly. I don't know, was it over the weekend a couple days ago? Can't remember. We discussed for a couple of minutes I think over the weekend, and I'm gonna walk a statement back where I said something like, "Oh, I wasn't enjoying the show because I didn't feel like it was prestige TV." And I think that's kind of like a weak kind of argument for me to make, because I don't think it's trying necessarily to be, a Better Call Saul or a Shogun. It's doing something different with the medium. Like it wants to be a faithful adaptation, which it is, and it wants to be an entertaining show, and it's doing it's hitting above its weight with the production value. Like I think production of it is actually really good. A lot of stuff in episode 1 like looked fantastic. Even throughout the show, like the Mjolnir suit looks
power armor.
You got those switched around.
My bad.
Mjolnir is what they're called in Halo, though.
Yeah,
That would have been an impressive deep cut if we were talking about Halo.
I'm trying to say is like it looks really good, but I think for me is that I gravitate towards more prestigious TV experiences, like currently again Shogun. And I don't have an affinity to the Fallout IP that I end up just being like, well, I tried it and it's just ended up being like something that isn't for me overall. I watched 3 episodes and I'm debating if I even go to a 4th just because I don't know if I will.
Right.
Hey, can you forgive me, Dan?
I don't need to forgive you. That's you're enabled to make your own decisions on what you like.
I don't like letting you down.
Here's what I want to say. I think you should go more than 3 episodes personally. We were talking about this privately. This might have been the same conversation, but and I have seen other people echo this point, and I just want to bring this up for fairness of discussion. That some people are like, oh, it feels like Marvel humor. It feels kind of like just a Marvel.
People
product.
said that.
Well, yeah, and streaming quality and all this stuff, right?
Oh, it's way better than a Marvel show.
Well, and here's the thing I want to bring up is that the humor and the dialogue and the writing, which is what people are specifically comparing. Like again, some people, not everyone. Obviously, everyone. If we're being honest, everyone seems to be vibing with this. Like you said, it's getting really good critic reviews, and it's dominating. It was dominating Twitter. I don't know if it still is, but it was trending all over Twitter. So no, most people have a positive experience with this. But to the people that say that, the thing with Fallout is that this is totally like the humor and the dialogue that you see in the Fallout games, and the Fallout games predate the MCU. That's kind of the big thing here, right? Where it's like I could see somebody saying like, "Oh, this doesn't like what you're talking about with prestige television. Like, does Fallout propose these super sort of deep philosophical questions every episode? No, it doesn't. But it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be its own thing, and I don't think that it's necessarily a cheap knockoff or a cop out, because like I said, it's honoring the source material that predates a lot of the stuff that has become popular since Fallout has came out. So that's the only thing I wanted to say with that, is that I feel like it's what it's trying to do is doing very successfully.
And not only does it respect and honor the game's legacy and everything that the games did, like this show takes place in the same universe as all the Fallout games. They had enough wherewithal to go back and say, we're gonna fucking make a show that is in universe and make it canon and make it all make sense and work. And that to me is the most exciting thing, because this show feels like you're playing another Fallout game.
Yep.
Like that's literally the feeling that it gives you, and it's absolutely fantastic, because as a Fallout fan that hasn't had a quality experience, since Fallout 4, it's something exciting to get excited about. And there's more story revelations that we learn about that adds to the game's overall story, which I'm not going to talk about because those happen later on in the later episodes that are spoilers. But like, there's some really cool shit that they add to the lore that you're just like, this is fucking awesome. Like,
I totally agree with you. Have we heard Ro? Have we heard from Ro?
I was about to bring him in. Ro, did you watch episode 1 and or 2?
I watched 1 and 2. And I could be the guy who's kind of more casual Fallout fan watching this, because I am a more casual Fallout fan. I've only played 4, and I didn't even beat it, but I got pretty deep. I enjoyed it, but I didn't beat it. So I'm like the guy who doesn't know that much about Fallout watching Fallout, and I did enjoy it a lot. I enjoyed the first, like I texted you guys saying like the opening, I guess, of the first episode was enough to hook me to at least watch the first one. And I found the second episode to be pretty entertaining too. I like the different stories that they're telling. I haven't gotten to episode 3 yet, so I don't know how they're all going to mesh. But by the end of episode 2, I was like, oh, this is intriguing. I'm having a good time with it. So yeah, as someone who isn't a Fallout fan, I like there's even things that I was able to recognize, like obviously the power armor, but even more than that, like the sound of like the power armor, like the stomping. I was like, oh, I recognize, like that's a specific type of stomping that is unique to the power armor that I swear I've heard in the games before. So I feel like there's a lot of Easter eggs, I guess you could say, for Fallout fans in there for sure. So yeah, it's fun, having a good time with it.
I got to mention Ella Purnell. Fantastic job she's doing. Could not believe that some people online were like, not doubting her, but like, how should I say this? There are weird people online who somehow try to make a hot girl look hotter by photoshopping.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? Like that. People are weird, man.
Or like what they did to Aloy and
Yassified, Aloy, yeah.
Oh god.
I remember.
They'll take a through and through female human and try and be like, they're not female enough. Let me female them more. And it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
This is just a woman.
Also, I heard from some people that Ella Purnell was not good in this series, and I'm just like, what the fuck? What do you mean she was not good in this series?
Right. She first of all, she killed it. Actually, I think all 3 of the main characters, obviously Walton Goggins is fantastic at everything he does, but Aaron Moten, who's kind of, I haven't seen him in a lot. I feel like he's a pretty fresh face, who plays the Brotherhood of Steel character.
Maximus.
Shit, Maximus.
Maximus, yes.
Where the fuck am I getting Marcus from? Gears?
It's okay. You're calling him Marcus. Dan was calling him Maxwell. He's just any sort of M name. You just throw an M name in there. Maximus, yes. He actually kind of, I don't know if stole the show, because I wasn't necessarily interested in his storyline more than I was Ella Purnell's, but I thought his performance of trying to play a charismatic coward is a really interesting thing to give an actor, because he is such a coward in this. Like, he's not supposed to be somebody you look up to, but he was still kind of captivating. I thought that was a really interesting character to write, and probably not easy to pull off. It's easy because we're looking at it and he's doing a good job, but like, I feel like I want to give him props for that. It was a pretty cool character. I mean, Walton Goggins is fantastic, but it's like, hey, you're gonna be playing the cowboy that everybody fucking loves. It's like, okay, cool. Like, it's pretty easy. Well, I mean, relatively speaking. But yeah, I want to give a shout out to Aaron Moten, who played Maximus. He was great.
Walton Goggins is fucking amazing. Like, there was a moment I was on like episode 4 or 5, and Gage had finished the series already because he's a madman. And I was talking to Gage about it, or he was close to finishing, one or the other. And I was talking to Gage about it, and I'm like, I want to see. I'm not going to be specific to not spoil it for anyone, but I was like, I want to see this, and this, like, for the rest of the series, like, and not knowing what was happening. Gage was, of course, like thinking, like, that's exactly what fucking happens, like,
Right.
And that was what was so exciting, like to see that unfold exactly how I was telling Gage, like, this would be so cool to see this, and fuck, we got it. Ugh.
There's something about an adaptation where it's not just having all the things on the screen look like the source material. Like, that's a very, I mean, that's an integral part, maybe, but that I feel like that's just a small part. What Fallout does really well, and Dan can speak to this since he's finished the series just as I have, is that it follows the same pacing of like a Fallout game, and I think this is why Dan says this, and why I totally agree with him. Is that if if somebody who's never played a Fallout game and you watch the show, you've gotten the same experience. In that the show starts off way more funny and way more kooky, and then as it gets into its final 3 or 4 episodes, it becomes a lot more plotting and a lot more serious, which is exactly how all the games works. The games always give you this crazy, grandiose introduction to the world. It boots you off into the wasteland. And then as you go about the game and you're sort of progressing into the second and third act, the sort of overlying stories of like this pre-war world and all these mysteries start to unfold, and it becomes very, very serious, but only in like the third act, and every game kind of follows that kind of through line. So the fact that the show replicated it as well, it's not just that, oh, look at the power armor, looks like the power armor, or, oh, this looks like this. It's like they're also kind of copying the flow of the game into the series, which is something so deep that like really kind of reaffirms to me that they deeply understand the source material. And there is something else I want to bring up. This is such a small thing, but I was talking to Dan about this, where there's a scene later in the show where a car pulls up to the camera and people get out and they're talking. And as the car comes up, it doesn't make any noise. It's completely silent. You just hear the wheels turning on the ground. And I was like, this is incredible because all the cars in the Fallout universe are powered by mini nuclear reactors. They don't make any noise. And I'm like, they could have easily just gotten like a 50s real world car and had it running on gasoline. It wouldn't have ruined the show at all. Like, nobody would have batted an eye. But these are small things where somebody must have been in the sound editing room and they, oh, by the way, these cars are all powered by nuclear reactors, so make sure there's no noise when the car pulls up. Like, small things like that where I'm like, man, they just get it. Like, they paid attention to the detail.
Is right, Fall. In addition to what Gage just said, I think one other thing that people think about with Bethesda games specifically is like quest design and like characters within quest design. As like, here's why I like New Vegas more than Fallout 4, like because of like, you know, these major plot points that I think come together really nice. So the difficulty with like for Jonathan Nolan is like, how do you translate that into show? You know, yeah, you can have things like the car thing, and that'll be like, you know, a nod to video game fans, but like to adapt that kind of design into TV show format is difficult. And the way you do that is like, we'll take what works, but forefront that with memorable characters. And I think what makes the Fallout TV show special, even with my limited time watching it, is that all 3 of the main characters are all compelling in their own way because they're all driven by individual things and they're all tragic with their, like, we have time to even Walton Goggins, who I think gets the least amount of screen time in episode 1, ends up being the most compelling because we see like the flashback and who he like turns out to be and the person he's turned into as the ghoul, which is like so fascinating. It's getting you want to like unearth his backstory, and they do that throughout the series with like little flashbacks here and there. And all 3 of them just like compelling characters off the bat, and like that is how you do it. On top of video game adaptation, like make these stories and characters interesting. And I think that's why Fallout's succeeding so much.
The casting in this show is phenomenal. Like you were saying, Christian, the 3 main protagonists, but also like the whole rest of the cast. Yeah, they did a great job with casting. Like Kyle MacLachlan, who plays Hank McClane,
Rico.
Yeah. Squire Thaddeus, I think is his name.
Thaddeus, yep.
Yeah, Thaddeus. He does a fantastic job as well. Like, there's a moment later in the series I'm not going to spoil, but was really fucking hilarious and like perfectly timed. Yeah, there's so many good characters in this show. I very impressed.
That dude from Lost.
Yeah.
Matt Berry as the Codsworth.
Yeah.
What are they called, Mr. Handy or whatever? That was when I heard him in the show do the voice.
Yeah.
I was like, that's perfect, but
It
also
is.
like, how is that not him in the original stuff?
Right.
Like, they chose somebody who sounds exactly like the original, but also he's not doing a voice. That's just what he
him.
sounds like.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of like the stars aligning.
And that's part of the charm of that conversation he was having with that person when he was talking about, how much he gets paid.
And that's the one thing that kind of sucks where if Christian stops watching, because it does have some, like I said, the latter half of this series is much more serious than the first half, and they have some really topical, relevant things to say about like AI and how it affects humans and our workflow, but they're able to do that without it feeling out of place. Like it's the perfect blending of the core story of Fallout and all this technology that the Fallout world has, and they're just kind of making it relevant for the modern day struggles that we have with like AI and like how it affects actors and how it affects that conversation in that specific episode was fantastic. That was a great and didn't feel out of place at all, but it was super relevant as well to what we're going through right now.
How many episodes?
8 episodes.
Oh, it's not bad. I'm already almost halfway.
You're already almost halfway. Episode
I gotta catch
6,
up. I gotta catch up because Shogun's finale is next week. So
right, it's good stuff, man. I think I think it's the same episode where you're a certain character is at a bar with another character, and they have this really great sort of back and forth. And oh my god, it's
that's
really
4?
good. That's what? Sorry,
that's 4. Episode 4, from what you remember. You think?
No, this is episode 6.
As you're saying? Oh, sorry. Okay. Any other thoughts on Fallout, the TV show, before we move into video game discussion of Fallout?
Great show.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Fantastic.
instantly jumped to my top 10 favorite shows of all time.
Whoa.
Are you gonna rewatch it? That's what I'm curious about.
Oh,
Are you gonna do a second watch through?
Absolutely. Oh,
See, I do that with every show that I enjoy. I always watch it through the first time and I experience it, and then I watch it through the second time, and I'm like, okay, let me analyze it. And I'm curious if this would be good enough that you'd be willing to jump right back into it.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Guys, the Fallout IP has been charting tremendously well thanks to the reception of the show. People have a Fallout itch. As Dan mentioned, 76. That game has the highest charts currently on Steam of the 3 games available. It's behind Helldivers 2 right now. Helldivers 2 is number 1. Fallout 76 is right behind that, number 2. And then I believe it's Fallout 4 underneath that, number 3. People are loving Fallout. I didn't get to ask earlier, but are you guys planning on playing the current gen version of Fallout 4? I mean, Dan, you probably beat Fallout 4 when it released, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In terms of will I replay Fallout 4? Possibly. We'll see. Because Fallout 4 is the weakest of the 3 mainline games. I guess we'll call it
New Vegas, I guess.
Yeah,
3, 4 New Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the weakest, but yeah, I may jump back into it now that I'm saying this, because I mean I jumped back into Fallout 76, which is objectively a worse game than Fallout 4. So
Right.
And still have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's where it gets interesting now. Bethesda maybe working on Starfield stuff right now, like more expansions, but the other team is working on the Elder Scrolls game. They're not working on another Fallout game until after the Elder Scrolls 6. The Elder Scrolls 6 is probably still a ways away from releasing, which means Fallout 5 probably about almost 10 years away. More than 5 for sure. More than 5 years away.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about. I wrote down the question, is it a little bit of a problem, do you think? Because like people are itching for more Fallout stuff to do or to play. And the most recent game is from like 4 years ago, I think. Or at least if you want to do like a single player game, that's like what, 10 years ago?
Almost 10 years now, yeah. I think this is I bet you there is a lot of conversations happening about this at Xbox right now. Xbox, as we've talked about the last few months, I mean, they've kind of just had, at least in terms of optics, they've had a lot of fumbles recently. And I feel like the fact that, Bethesda is now an Xbox studio, is now an Xbox property, and they're getting all this positive buzz from a show, I'm betting right now there are conversations of how do we attach this thing that everybody's really psyched about to Xbox. And I hope that they're having conversations about like letting Obsidian have another crack at it, right? Because Xbox now has all these pieces to the puzzle. They own all of it. Obviously, there's a delicate balance. You don't want Phil Spencer just kicking in the doors and being like, by the way, Fallout now because it's topical. You do want the studios to work on what they want to work on. But I hope that these conversations are happening. It seems like Obsidian has kind of like, I don't know if when they've tweeted about it, if these people have been at Obsidian when they tweeted about it, but like it seems that there's kind of a fondness at Obsidian for New Vegas. They like the work they did there. They're proud of that game, and I could see why, because it's not usually that you have a outside studio come into an established IP, make a single game, and then have that game be considered to be one of the best from that franchise. I hope these conversations are happening. I do not want to wait 10 years for the next Fallout experience. I hope that they're talking about this.
I didn't know New Vegas was Obsidian until you said that right now.
Yes.
That's crazy.
It came out literally the year after Fallout 3.
Dude, I mean, they have Avowed coming out this year. Like, yeah, they could, I mean, if they're having internal talks, that'd be awesome to have, like, maybe they get excited about working on the Fallout IP again.
Here's what I think. I think, because there's been rumors about Fallout New Vegas 2 in talks with Obsidian, very early talks. There's been rumors of that already.
Right.
I think Josh Sawyer, his team just released Pentiment not that long ago. Yeah. Very small team. They could easily start working on a Fallout concept, and I know he has affinity for the IP because he's been tweeting about the Fallout series as well. Of course, studio head of Obsidian, Fergus, was originally at, I believe, Black Isle, which made the original Fallout and Fallout 2. So, like, obviously this studio loves Fallout, and now that they're together, I feel like it's a no-brainer that you go to Obsidian and say, okay, start working on it with your small team, and then when either, your team that's working on Avowed or even the team that's working on Outer Worlds 2, because literally the Outer Worlds franchise is literally a copy of what Fallout is, just in a space setting instead of a post-apocalyptic wasteland. So it would fit perfectly for that team, more so than the Avowed team to work on it. And they may not be that far off from releasing, because, the original, The Outer Worlds, came out in 2019. So 5 years later, I feel like we're getting close to that game coming out. So this would be a sweet spot for them to get going on that while, Bethesda's working on Elder Scrolls 6, and then you have Elder Scrolls 6 releasing probably around the same time as this possible New Vegas 2 or whatever else they want to do. I think that would be very exciting. And then fill in the gaps between now and then with a Fallout 3 / New Vegas remaster, remake, whatever you want to call it, because I would 1000% go back and replay both Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas if those came back in a big way with a remake, remaster.
I think Dan solved it.
Now, Dan did solve it, except I'm going to throw a wrench into it and ask a question.
Uh-oh.
Because I want to believe so bad that's what's happening. That would be the good thing that, common sense people put together. But as we've learned in the video game industry, that common sense people do not run these companies. CEOs and C-suite parasites run this company. So here's my question. Is leadership at Bethesda Game Studios going to want to have a Fallout game come out before their next Fallout game? That's the first question. And then B, how do we deal with software and engines? Is this Fallout New Vegas going to be on a different engine? Is Bethesda going to want that because they are fucking obsessed with their creation engine? And if it does have to be on creation engine, does that means that Tom Sawyer's team is now going to have to relearn this engine that maybe isn't that easy? Like this is the question I proposed to you. How does that all work?
Here's what I would say to your first point. Shit, what fuck? I just had.
Do they want somebody else to, pop off with the Fallout
okay,
brand before they get the chance to?
Yes. So, I mean, in a way, they've already done that because Fallout 76 wasn't made by Maryland Bethesda Game Studios. It was made by Bethesda Game Studios Austin, which was reformulated. They were basically renamed to that. It was a completely different studio. They just renamed to that because Bethesda things. So like they basically already did that with Fallout 76. And I feel like an offshoot of the brand like wouldn't necessarily affect the mainline franchise. They're not going to go to Obsidian and say, hey, you guys want to make Fallout 5 for us instead of us making it. Like it's going to be or if that happens, I think it's going to be a spin-off of some sort, like New Vegas 2 or a different game even. But in regards to your second point, which I've also forgotten because I've talked too long.
Are they going to let them make a game that's not in creation engine?
Oh, yes. I think they would be smart to because, I mean, Obsidian has already, shown that they know what the fuck they're doing with their own engine with, I think it runs on Unreal. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but they did great work with Outer Worlds, and that game literally has a very similar DNA to Fallout. Like when I'm playing Outer Worlds, that was my 2019 game of the year. It feels like I'm playing a Fallout game in space. Like that's what that game feels like. So like I feel like they would be okay with that. And then, Bethesda goes back to making the next game in Creation Engine or whatever the hell they want to do. Maybe they reevaluate Creation Engine with the technical debt that they may have with that engine.
That was my big hang up, is that do they let them do something in Unreal that ends up running better than the next Elder Scrolls game? Like they might be causing some problems for themselves because I want them to get away from Creation Engine. I think a lot of us do because it just, like you said, technical debt. Like it smells, that engine reeks like it has technical debt. But I hope it all plays out the way that you just laid it out there. That would be, I think, the best possible outcome, the best timeline that we'd be living in.
Phil, call us up. We got an idea for the Halo series also.
Yeah, we've got a few.
Last question I have written down is, does Prime Video have the sauce, or is Fallout's success a byproduct of Jonathan Nolan? And I think Gage kind of largely answered it with, Jonathan Nolan, talented writer, but also spearheading like the adaptation and overall love of the IP to present that in a way that is like fitting of the TV format. I asked this question because like the God of War show is also going to be an Amazon product. And well, I do think Amazon will be able to provide a level of like production value to a live action adaptation of it, the same way like Fallout has great production behind it. The real question is going to be like, it doesn't matter as long as like, if you don't get someone who loves the property, and has like talent behind the scenes, then, it might end up just being something that's kind of passable.
Right. You talk about Prime Video having the sauce, and it's funny because when it comes to a giant publisher / platform, I think having the sauce would just mean that you have the resources to provide and the wherewithal to get out of creative's way, which means that a networking channel, platform, whatever, that has the sauce is definitely going to have a mixed bag of products, because you can't be known for giving creative freedom and also have a consistent portfolio. I feel like you're going to have misses that come with that, right? Like I'm just looking at all the shows they have. I know the Rings of Power was, very lukewarm on, like some people were It was not the big hit that Amazon thought it was going to be. You have shows like The Boys, which are very succinct and they have a very tight creative vision, and they execute on that exactly what they want. So you're gonna have a mixed bag, but I think that is the best that you can hope for with a platform like that. Is that they have the money to back projects that they want to back, and then they have the smarts to get out of the way and let them the creatives kind of make the show that they want to make, which will either end up great or it will end up not for everyone.
And I think that's important as well. Like the person in charge has to care about what they're doing. Like if they don't care about the medium that it's coming from or what the property is, then they're not going to make a good show. So I think the interesting thing with the God of War series is I don't know how Sony's handling that. If a creative came up with an idea for a God of War show and then approached these other entities like Amazon or Netflix or whoever, and Amazon was just the one that wanted to do it. I don't know if it happened that way or if Sony went to Amazon and said, "Hey, we want to make a show. Can you do this for us?" Because
Right.
I think if it's the latter, it doesn't work out as well because as we've seen with the Halo show, Microsoft went out and went to Steven Spielberg, and said, "Hey, can you make this Halo show for us?" And 10 years later, here we go. We got a good Halo show instead of a unbelievable Halo show.
The thing about the Sony thing you just reminded me of, Dan, is like there are 3 recent adaptations that come to mind. One is the Uncharted movie, Sony with Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg. The other is the Last of Us show, and the third is the Gran Turismo movie that Gage reminded me of over chat just a couple of hours ago. Last of Us show gets the Last of Us co-creator Neil Druckmann on board with a good writer, and then lo and behold, you have like a great adaptation, quote unquote,
Right.
like that received very well. Gran Turismo mixed, but as far as like me and Gage are concerned, like he still took like turned that property into something that was like largely entertaining.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't even mention the name. I said he. Who directed? I'm forgetting his
Neil
name right
Blomkamp.
now. Neil Blom. Thank you. He was able to do something interesting with that IP. The least interesting one is the one that seems like the most attached from the source material, which is the Uncharted movie.
Right.
Like, it seems like Cory Barlog might be attached to the God of War show in some capacity. Hopefully, if he is, Amazon Studios and Sony would have the wit to be like, we got to team up Barlog with somebody else that's high caliber who is also going to give it the love and care that something like the Fallout show gets with Nolan and co. So.
And it needs
Yeah.
to be a collaborative partnership and not just one where we're going to give Cory Barlog a consultant or a writer credit,
Yeah.
even though he spends 2 days in the office and then that's it. We never see him again, right? Like it needs to be a truly Neil Druckmann was there with Craig Mazin, and they were bouncing ideas back off of each other.
Neil
for the
directed an
entire
episode.
exactly, for the entire pre-production and production of that series, which is how you get something like that, right? So.
And that's what I would love to know about the Halo series, Gage. We talked about this slightly, but I would love to know because I know Kiki Wolfkill is spearheading that show production on the 343 side, or at least she was. Now she's on the Xbox team instead of 343. But I would like to know, does Kiki Wolfkill actually have any power in regards to that show, or is she just there as basically a face? Like she's not given any power on that show. They're just there running the show, and she's just
like she shows up on set and they just show her what they're doing, and it's like, and she's just kind of like, okay.
Because if she is involved like heavily with those decisions, then fuck me, Kiki, you fucked up.
I agree.
All right. Closing thoughts? Fallout show? A thumbs up? You get it? You get it? All right. Thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including, but not limited to, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your pods. Thank you, Roshan. Thank you, me. That's Gage. Sorry, thank you, Gage. That's Daniel. And this has been Podcast PXN, and we are leaving.
Much love and keep on gaming.
See ya.
Adios.
Pause Master Prindle.